Welcome to episode 2 of the lockdown. What? No. Lunchtime lockdown live stream. Episode 2, season 2. Second round of the lockdown, boys and girls. Lekker, man. So, initially, when I did this, the idea was that I would only be doing this for 2 weeks, but it looks like we're going to be stuck at home for a little bit longer. So, I'm going to be carrying on doing these live streams every day at lunchtime for you. Today's one might be a little bit longer, but if you are tuning in, welcome. The idea behind this is I give myself an hour to try and make a track or a track idea or get as close to a finished track as possible. Today's live stream is going to be a little bit different, like the last couple have been. I'm just trying to keep it interesting. Today's live stream was actually a request from a friend of mine. There is a local record label called Round Robin Recordings, and today I'm going to be showing you how I would remix one of the tracks that they've recently released from another local producer. His name is Gina Leo. The track's name is Shadow Mind. Make sure that you go and give him a follow on social media. Yeah. Anyway, let's just preview the track so that you can hear what the track sounds like that I'm going to be working on. I'm just going to sort everything out here for the stream quickly. So yeah, that's the idea. I went through the entire EP, and obviously this is the title track of the EP that's out now on Round Robin Recordings. Go and check it out. So here are the stems that have been sent to start with the remix. Obviously, when you're doing a remix, it's ideal to have as many of the original stems as possible. Drums are kind of a personal preference thing. Some artists will send you the drums. Some artists prefer not to send drums. Not really sure why. Obviously, I would, if an artist was to send me all of their stems and they were sending me their drums, there would probably be a lot that I would steal. But as you can see on the screen here, most of the stems are melodic stems. There's a bird's texture layer. The other really nice thing that was included was these layers over here. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, you'll obviously be able to see clearer than if you're watching it on Instagram. There are 4 regions here of MIDI that are obviously the regions that have been used to create the sound. So there's a piano layer, another piano. Let me actually check for the MIDI in the original pack. So we have the ARP, rhythm, the bass, the chords, and the pad. I don't know why it doesn't, when you load them into Logic, it doesn't import which is which, but I'm not really going to be using the MIDI except for maybe the chords to try and recreate the chords, but maybe using a different instrument. So the first steps when I would start a remix would be to decide why I'm doing the remix. There are probably 3 reasons I believe artists do remixes. One would be clout, so in other words, doing bootlegs or remixes that are official or unofficial to try and leverage the brand of the artist's song. If you're trying to, if there's a big song out at the moment and you want to create your own spin on it that you can play in your sets, maybe it's not the same genre, that would be the second reason why you do remixes, is to be able to play them in your sets. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit there, but you would want to ideally post this online. Whether it's approved or not is completely the circumstances that you came about deciding to do this remix. For example, for this, I was actually asked to create this video on doing a remix of this song. But if you're not commissioned to do a remix, it's probably not going to get approved, or it's probably going to get taken down wherever you upload it, unless it's like YouTube and they actually monetize it. That's a whole different story. Anyway, so reason 1, leveraging the artist brand that you're trying to remix. Reason 2, trying to create your own personal spin on a remix. Or 3, damn, I forgot what number 3 was. Shit, I was thinking about this before I started. Leveraging the artist brand, creating your own spin, and fuck. Okay. Anyway, let's just say that there's 2. There's a third one. I've forgotten. If I remember, I'll get back to you some other time in this video. So let's just go through some of the layers that I actually want to keep. Let me just do this, because what I started off doing was, many artists, many producers rather, let's use the word producers for this, like to have their projects at different volumes. For example, for me, I like to try and keep my unlimited, I produce with a limiter on my master, so I can sort of hear what it's going to sound like when it's mastered. But I like to keep the gain of anything hitting around -12 at the sort of gain staging level. So for example, for these stems were a lot louder than what I would typically work with. So I've just brought them down, and obviously the limiter that I use, I then compensate for that lack of gain. Let me just do this. The layers that I heard when I was listening to the original that I'd really like to use are probably the piano and the arp. So the bass I probably won't use. I'll recreate the bass because it's quite a static bass line in terms of how I'd want to remix this. Pretty straightforward. Then we have the arp rhythm. Also pretty straightforward. I really like that. There's this birds layer, which I think might even still be a little bit too loud. Yeah, I mean, if I had played that, you would have cocked yourself. It's just an atmosphere layer. Then we have chords. Obviously, that using that would depend on the emotion of this. Okay. Wait, no. Was that the third reason? Anyway, what I'm thinking in my mind is the reason you would want to remix something is to try and make it from a sort of dance or a song that might be a little bit mellow to something that's a little bit more dancey. So having piano chords in a track typically might make it a little bit too emotional for a dance floor, unless the song is meant to be an emotional song. For example, something like Muye. That is a perfect example of a song that is extremely emotional, but it works in a club. Anyway, the next sort of layers would be the pad. Also really nice. Then there are piano stabs that come in. I don't know if I'd call that a piano stab. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call those piano stabs, but they're pretty cool. There's a tom layer, some vocal effects, and obviously then the vocal.
Pushing the shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck in time.
If you can see, I am having some serious latency issues with the actual whatever's showing up on the timeline and playing back. So how I would typically start is choosing the elements that I would want to use in the remix that I'm trying to create. And as I said in the beginning, what I really like about this song are the arp layers. I think I can use this piano stab as well, and obviously the vocal. I might reserve the chords, but I might play them on a different instrument, perhaps creating a pad with them or something else, because it might be a little bit too emotional for the idea that I have in my head. So what I'm going to start out doing, which I typically start out doing when I do remixes, obviously I haven't released any remixes in a while, but the idea behind what I would like to do is start out with the drums, start out with the rhythm, because I have the vocal, and I have an idea in my mind of what I want to try and create with this. The other question that you ask yourself is, what tempo do I want to take this remix on? Because as it falls under the part of why you would do a remix. Sometimes if you're remixing a more commercial track, it might be at a completely different tempo. You might want to bring it down, you might want to bring it up, but because this is dance music, it'll probably fall within a specific range, especially something like this, which is, I would consider somewhere between deep house and melodic techno. I think 122 might be too slow for me and for what I would play, so I'm going to bring up, this is the part about Logic that I don't really like, is you have to manually go and turn on all the flex time parameters on each channel, and then it's going to analyze them. So that's going to take a couple of seconds. Okay, it's getting there. It's taking a while. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them in the chats. How's lockdown going for everyone? Let me know. Let me actually, give me a second while this is busy. I'm just going to actually write on Instagram what I'm doing. How I work on a post. Pin comment. Lekker. Okay. Cool. Now they're all analyzed. The other thing, I haven't really checked how to do this in terms of changing the default. Let me check if I change everything quickly, what it does. Okay, cool. It changes all of them. I don't know how you would change the default from slicing, because when you, again, this is going off topic, but when you change the flex time in Logic from, well, when it's on slicing, it tries to preserve the length of notes of certain things. So if you're stretching something and you're making it slower than the original tempo, it will actually keep the length, and then you'll just have like a glitch, which is usually a click, which unless you're using drums or things like that, it kind of gets a bit fucking annoying. And Polyphonic tries to maintain the integrity of the transients, or rather of the, it makes it sound as smooth, so you don't really get as many artifacts, but you lose some of the integrity in the transients. But for vocals and stuff like that, if I'm doing drums, you'll use rhythmic. There's also monophonic if you're doing like notes that only play one note that doesn't vary too much. So maybe even this ARP rhythm might work for that. So I'm going to bring it up to 123 as a starting point. And I'm going to load up Machine here. So I'm going to start out with doing something with the ARP rhythm. Let me actually mute rather than carrying on working in solo. So we have the, I'm just going to rename this ARP rhythm, and we have the instrument layer here, which is Machine. I'm going to name this Machine, and I'm just going to find a kick. Nah, it's too subby. Maybe that. Just for now, it's just to start out getting some ideas. Obviously, the idea behind this is to do something as quickly as possible. So I'm not going to sift through samples, because if I had to go through every sample that I have trying to find something that I'm happy with, I would definitely not be able to do this in an hour. Let me just do this. Let me move these layers for you so those are out of the way. So let's just start off with this. Now, I like the sound. I might have to try and recreate the sound with a different instrument, because obviously there are effects on here. There's a bit of reverb. What I would like to do with this especially is to actually change the rhythm up. So I'm going to cut this up. I have an idea in my mind of what it should sound like. Maybe that's a little bit too quieter. Yeah, that's definitely too quieter. See, now this is the challenge where in the stem, it's actually been bounced out with reverb on. So you'll hear it'll sound a bit odd going from these where it's kind of just cut short to there being a gap here. So you can kind of hear that. So what I'm going to try and do is you can either manually do this, you can use a gate. I like to use Plugin Alliance. Where the fuck? There we go, Transient Designer. That actually gives me an idea. What I'm going to do with this is... What the puss? Why can't I? Yeah, man. Okay. I'm going to have to just do this quickly. Sorry, I don't know why it's doing this. I have the idea in my mind to keep that, reverse that. So we have these two arp layers now. This is obviously the reversed layer. I might change the rhythm, but this is a good place to start. Obviously, I'm not going to get too caught up on little details while I'm doing this. I have to try and do this as quickly as possible. I don't typically use track stacks, but just for the sake of saving me time of creating a bus and worrying about the sends and everything, I'm just going to do everything in Logic as quickly as possible. Sorry, there's one thing that I forgot to mention in the beginning, which was how to actually, or how to begin would be to decide on the tempo and also to decide on the key. You can either keep it in the same key as the original, or you can change the key. I like that this was in, let me just open up Finder. I believe this was in B. I'm assuming it's in B minor. What you can do is you can audition with a plugin like Sound Shifter. So we have this in B. Let's say we want to do it in C minor. Not too keen on C minor. Let's try B flat. So I just want to fix this as well because this is irritating the cock out of me that it's not how I would want it. No, not so keen on that. Anyway, let's leave it in the original key. Obviously, I can, if I want to recreate this and I want to use a different sound, I can then do that. But I'm just going to keep it in B just for demonstration purposes. So we have that. I'm going to add some effects to it. Let's start out with some delay. Well, let's start out with some EQ, actually. Just cut out the low end. Let's do some delay. Okay, let's start with we have the kick and we have the op. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create an instrument layer. And I'm going to try and create something that sounds like that op, because I'm not really liking how the rhythm that I have at the moment is. What the fuck? Why does it do that? Okay. Let's try to do a bass line here. So we're in B. I have an idea of the bass that I wanted to do before I actually sat down to do this. So what I'm doing is I'm just changing the velocity quickly. And then we're going to carry on. Let's just put some sidechain on it. Okay. That's kind of how I'd wanted to do the bass line, was to have this 16th note rhythm in the bass line. I'm just trying to think of what song it's reminding me of. Okay, let's start working with the vocal here. Let's hear what this sounds like together. So I'd heard in the original that there was not a lot of processing on the vocal. I don't know if the vocal effects had the processing on, but this is what the vocal sounds like at the moment.
Pushing the shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck in time.
And it's not the kind of processing that I would use. I would go for something a little bit more eerie. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to process it how I would typically process a vocal. I would start off with just trying to decide. I don't think it needs too much.
Only to find I'm stuck in time. 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 Pushing the shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck in time. Pushing the shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck in time.
Okay, carrying on. What I would do next? What would I do next? I really like the Wave CLA Vox. We're going to take out the low, we're going to add some treble, we're going to compress it even more, because I just really like very compressed dance vocals.
Pushing the shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck in time. Pushing the shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck in time. Pushing the shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck in time. Pushing the shadows
Okay, let's try bringing the ARP again. Alternatively, what I'm going to do is I think this was the ARP layer. Yeah, looks like it. Let's see. I don't know why that's there. Actually, I don't know why I'm bothering with the MIDI. Sorry, thinking to myself. Obviously, this is a challenge to try and narrate exactly what I'm doing all the time without just thinking, actually having time to think about what I'm going to do next. What I am going to do next is I'm going to try and create a similar sound to the ARP, which I thought I was going to do earlier, but I decided a bass line was a better starting point. Let's just see if I can use this.
Pushing the shadows from my mind. Pushing the shadows from.
Let me try rework this melody quickly, or rework the rhythm. So there is a lot of trial and error in doing this because I don't have the ability to stop and think about something. I'm trying to do it in as quickly as possible. Okay, actually, I want to do that. Okay. Change the rhythm a little bit from the original. Seriously? Seriously? Let's just do this so that it matches up with the bass line. Fuck off, why are you doing this to me? What? Thank you. T-I. There we go. Okay. Now, there's a bit of swing on the bass line that I've included, so I'm going to do the same swing. I think it was 53%. No. Was it? No. Why isn't there any swing on this? I did put swing on this. Why is it gone? No, it's in the actual MIDI. 54. As I said, it's a bit of trial and error. Trying to come up. Yeah, okay, let's just repeat that. I don't like that there's so much high end in this tom.
Pushing shadows from my mind. Pushing shadows from my mind. Pushing shadows from my mind.
So I've decided that I want a little bit more grungy effect on the vocals. So I'm going to try use trash. If that doesn't work, I'm just going to use a lot of tape saturation to try get the effect that I want. Let's go to retro. This might be a bit loud.
Pushing shadows from my mind. I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind.
Yeah, I'm going to try to change up this bass line because this is getting quite boring with just a like subby bass line. Obviously, if this is the first time you're watching these, the reason I'm using sample banks or preset banks for a lot of this is it just saves me time going through everything. I do, if I find something I like, save it in here. There's obviously not that much at the moment because I've changed PCs and I've just been too lazy to go from my old PC to this PC with these presets anyway. Okay, now I'm going to carry on trying to come up with a lead idea. Quickly. Actually, it's an eighth note. actually going to use a channel effect layer that I've used before. Just file that up.
Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from and I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside.
Sorry about that. The idea that I have in my mind would be, this would be playing. The other integral part of creating a remix is deciding how you want to change the structure from the original. Obviously, I'm not referencing the original in any way at the moment, so I'm going to try and recreate something completely different than what the original is. I would ideally want it to play like this for a while. Play like this. Let's say it plays like this for... I don't really know if this could last longer than 16 bars. But let's just, for the sake of experimentation, go, it would do something like this. Let me just create an audio track for my kick. So this is the idea that I have. I think it might work. Let's hear what it sounds like.
Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Only to find I'm stuck inside.
The idea is to have it... Ooh, what the fuck? What the hell happened there? Anyway. Have the vocal not really being the hook, rather than having a melody be the hook. So you would be establishing the groove, the vocal comes in nicely, tells you this is the song, this is the remix, this is the part that people know, but then it goes to a completely different melody here. How the push did this get so loud? So it would go...
Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside.
So you'll hear now.
Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside.
key of this bass line here. So if we're in B, we could try go to the A, which would be down. Way too low. Let's say we go up now to the D. I'm just trying to decide what I want to do. This could go even further, and we could go up 5. So we have used, let's see if we can use the piano stab short here just to create some kind of familiarity. What does this sound like? The other thing I like to do is if I find a sound that I like, but I want it to be a little bit more interesting, I like to load Guitar Rig onto it and attempt to create something that doesn't resemble the sound in any way. So if you go into effects here, you go into animated, and you just go through them. So this is going to take a little bit of time to find one that I like, because it's again, you never know how these effects, because then most of the time guitar effects are going to sound on something that's not a guitar. Same rhythm, same issue as before, because this has quite a lot of reverb on it. It's a bit tricky to use the stem without changing the timbre without the reverb. So let's try do this, and then okay, we have that down now. Let's take that off. Let's see what this sounds like without any of the effects on. Fuck off. This trash makes it sound a little bit too like a piano.
Pushing shadows from my mind.
But what I noticed has changed is that because there's no reverb, we're not getting that like effect on the tail that we want. So see, so with the reverb, that's what it sounds like. Without the reverb, it's too short. So we want the reverb, because the reverb kind of, the way that it's modulating the reverb kind of keeps it interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack a folder. And let's just go across again.
Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside.
So I think that's a good enough place to start. Let's move on to the drums with the last 10 minutes that we have. Something kind of tribal I think could work. No clap. Let's just go through some sounds quickly. Let me mute that. Maybe even
Pushing shadows.
fuck, that's loud.
Pushing shadows. Pushing shadows. Pushing shadows. Pushing shadows from my mind. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind. Only to find I'm stuck inside.
in case you're wondering what I did there, was I have a preset loaded onto a channel just to be able to create white noise hi-hats that I can then automate. So I'm going to try that quickly.
Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind.
Obviously, this is just for demonstration purposes. At the moment, what I'm doing is I'm just using an ARP to create that. It doesn't match the swing of anything else. What I would do is I would actually take the ARP off, recreate every 16th note, and then apply quantization of the same groove there. But I'm not going to do that because I only have like 5 minutes left. I'm just going to do this so you can hear the idea that I have in my mind. But what I might need to do is to audition this. I actually have a feeling that I want this to play a little bit longer, maybe from fuck off there. Maybe have this break just be a little bit longer. And do that. Take this, extend that. Okay. Let's now open up Diva. And we're going to open up automation. And let's do this.
Pushing shadows from my mind. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside.
So that's the idea in my mind. Let's just bring this up over here. That's actually what that sounds like if we bring it up and then take it down before the drop. Bring that on.
Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside.
Okay, you get the idea. What are these effects here? I mean, I can use that quickly just so that you can hear how I would try and recreate something like that anyway. I hate it when I hit the wrong key. Let's do that, mute that, take this. This will be the last thing that I do on the live stream. I think what I might do is carry on tomorrow with this track so that you can see how I would arrange it and ultimately try and create a full remix in the time rather than recreating a completely different song tomorrow. I think we have 2 minutes left. I gotta be quick, boy, quick. Let's see how this sounds like.
Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside.
I don't even have time. Anyway, we're probably going to go dead on Instagram anytime shortly because you obviously only have an hour. So I'm going to carry on Facebook and YouTube. Peace out, Instagram. Okay, let's carry on YouTube over here and Facebook.
Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside.
Just open up the automation here.
Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside.
Same with Simplon here, sorry.
Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside.
Fuck off, man.
Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside. Pushing shadows from my mind, only to find I'm stuck inside.
So yeah, that's the idea. I'll probably end up changing this lead synth idea, and obviously now that I'm not pressed for time to try and create something, I might just go ahead and try and change up some of the melodies and some of the rhythms. This was basically how I would try and remix something in an hour. It was the first instinct that I had to try and create a remix from this. I will be doing this again tomorrow, so tune in again tomorrow. I'm going to play this one more time for you. So you can hear the idea as it is currently, and then we'll come back to it tomorrow and see what has changed. Probably quite a lot, because there's some elements here that definitely need a lot more attention than what I can give them in like a couple of minutes. But anyway, I'm going to play this and then end the stream. So peace out, and I will see you again tomorrow.